Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome out to my first coaster countdown. This coaster countdown is the top 12 Cedar Fair parks. In my opinion, the top 12 best Cedar Fair parks. There are 12 theme parks, but there are other water parks, making a total of about 15 or 17 parks all around the world that are owned by Cedar Fair. But we're going to just focus on the 12 theme parks that they have, and some of these you might argue about because you think, oh, this should be higher up. This is just my opinion and what I think should be the top 12. It doesn't mean it's going to be yours, but this is what, in my opinion, the top 12 Cedar Fair parks are. So let's get started. Number 12 is Gilroy Gardens. Nobody knows about this park. You literally have to go on Cedar Fair's website, and you have to be near this park to even know that this thing even exists. This is the largest park by Cedar Fair. This is the family park. I can tell you it's not Knott's Berry Farm. This has got the entire family package, a low amount of rides, and a wide open space, a lot of trees. The biggest coaster is a mine train made by Morgan. I didn't even know Morgan made mine train coasters. I thought they just stick with their hyper coasters. Besides their lightning run going at Kentucky Kingdom, but beside that, all the flat rides here are family themed. I mean, you have no high thrill ride there, so I consider this the most neglected park and the family park of Cedar Fair. Moving on. Number 11 is Michigan's Adventure. Everyone thinks this is the neglected park. It's only neglected of its coasters. Besides rides and water rides, everything's fine. It's just that they hadn't had a coaster in a while. That doesn't mean they're going to be going out of business and stuff like that. I mean, they're getting a lot of rides by seeing that they've got 53, and most Cedar Fair parks are in the 40s and not the 50s, so of total rides. So it's not going to be going out of business like some people think. I just think it just doesn't have a lot of coasters, but the coasters it does have are pretty cool, and it is more of a family theme park too, just like Gilroy Gardens and Knott's Berry Farm. Number 10 is California's Great America. What's not to like about this park? This is a very nice park. It is the smallest out of the Cedar Fair parks, but it's got a nice layout. I really like the layout. It's really nice, and it's got some nice coasters. I think my favorite right there is Flight Deck. That's a nice invert. I like how it does that corkscrew and goes over the lake, and that's really cool. And of course Gold Striker, which is a great GCI Woody. Just wish it had some inversions like RMC, but you can't really. I don't think GCI has done an inversion yet, so I don't know if they'll be doing it anytime soon. But that's cool. And they got Grizzly, like the one at King's Dominion and stuff like that. And this is so far, Demon is my favorite aerodynamics corkscrew looper ever. I mean, it's not rough, I've seen the POVs and it doesn't look as rough, but I could be wrong, you know. Moving on. Valley Fair, one of the first parks. Actually, this is the second park owned by Cedar Fair. That's why it's called Cedar Fair, is because the cedar comes from Cedar Point, their first park, and the fair comes from Valley Fair, their second park they owned, or their first park they bought. Cedar Point they never bought, they just owned it. So it's not, once again, it's not big. I really like the coasters though. It's got a nice selection. Wild Thing, and I really like Wild Thing. Just main reason is because it's not a red and white color scheme like most of the Morgans are, so that's nice. And to me, I would put it in higher up. Like, I would switch Worlds of Fun and Valley Fair just because I just think the coaster select, to me anyway, is better. I love Renegade. That is a nice GCI Woody, just like Gold Striker. I really like, I've never had ride an Impulse coaster, but I'm guessing it's better than a B&M. But I won't know until I go ride one, which will probably be next year or something like that. Um, and I love the first ever steel hybrid coaster, Excalibur. It was not made. It was made by Aerodynamics, but I call it a steel hybrid because it's like what RMC does now, which is a steel chopper track on wood supports. So that's kind of cool. The only bad thing about this is the layout, but everything else is fine. Alright, Worlds of Fun. I do like Valley Fair more because of it's got more flat rides and roller coasters, but overall their coasters are just kind of better per se. And just because everybody would say, oh, Worlds of Fun is better than Valley Fair, and this time this wasn't my opinion. This part I just put just because I know people would argue that the fact that this is a better park than Valley Fair, and it does have a better layout. That's the big reason. It's got a better layout and stuff like that. And I do like Prowler. It was the best coaster, new coaster 2007, so that was really cool. And I think I'll be going there this year. I don't know yet. Dorney Park. What's not to like about this park? And this, just like Worlds of Fun and Valley Fair, Knott's Berry Farm and Dorney Park, I had a lot of trouble deciding which one I would put at number 7, and it ended up being this one just because of one reason. I'll let you know once we get to the Knott's Berry Farm Park. But Dorney Park is a really good park. It's got a nice selection of rides. It's got a great Morgan Hyper. Just wish it was a different color scheme. We've already seen a lot of those. Possessed. It's a nice impulse coaster, just like the others. But and I really like Talon. That is a nice. It's almost like Afterburn with a better color scheme, or a newer color scheme. Like, it doesn't look like it's rusted or anything like that. The only thing I don't get is Hydra. I like it, but it's overrated because everyone says, oh, it's so awesome. It's got to be like the best floorless coaster, which is Superman Krypton coaster at Fiesta, Texas. But I just think it's a little bit overrated just because that JoJo roll. I bet you if they put more JoJo rolls on other coasters, people would say, Hydra's alright, but there are better coasters out there. I bet you that's what will happen. But right now, Hydra's the only one with the JoJo rolls, so we're just gonna stay with that. But I do like it though. It's got a nice color scheme, and I like the rock theme and stuff like that. So it's all right. Knott's Berry Farm. The reason why I put this in front is because of one reason. It is the most visited park by Cedar Fair. Yes, this is the most visited park by Cedar Fair, yet it is only at number 6. I know, it's crazy, but that's what it is. It's not that big, and it's got a lot of family coasters, but it's not really in a huge family park. I mean, it's got a lot of thrill rides too. I mean, Boomerang, Montezuma's Revenge, Silver Bullet, Accelerator, and Ghost Rider. I get mixed up because they both sound the same. Those are 5 out of 10 that are high thrill rides, and then the rest are family coasters. But still, it's got a nice family package, but it doesn't have a lot to do with a family theme park. If it were a huge family theme park, it would be something like SeaWorld San Diego, something like that, because it's got a nice family package and stuff like that. So, but it's really cool, and it technically, it's okay. I like their slogan a little bit, but it wasn't America's first theme park. Let's get that straight. That was Lake Compounds, Lake Compounds is the oldest. This was the first one after the Great Depression, though. That is true about that. It was 1940 when this was made, I think. Anyway, let's just continue. Carowinds. Now, this is what's not to like about this park. This is an amazing park. Honestly, it has gotten too much negative reviews. It is a fantastic park, and it deserves to be in the top 5. It is an amazing theme park. Intimidator, Nighthawk, Afterburn, those are all really good coasters, and it's so far the highest amount of rides we've seen so far, 64. That's a lot. That's, let's just say, in almost 400 acres, that's a lot of rides to put in that amount of space. And it's got a nice amount of roller coasters, and so far my favorite is Intimidator, but I'd like to see of what happens. They got the first flying coaster in the world, Nighthawk, which was at Great America, which is kind of, I feel bad for Great America because 2 of its best coasters were moved to the other parks to make it better, so I do feel bad for that, but oh well. To make other theme parks better, sometimes you gotta make some theme parks worse, but this is a really good park. I just hope they get a Giga Coaster. It will really fit in with the park. As long as it's an Intamin, then it's going to be really well. Number 4, this is going to definitely start some argument. Kings Island. I do agree that it is in the top 5 best theme parks of Cedar Fair, but I do not agree that it needs to be in the top 3. Don't get me wrong, it's a wonderful park. I like that it's got Vekomas. I just like the Vekomas better than the B&M Flyers. And it's getting Banshee. Oh, that's a great inverted roller coaster. And Diamondback. Oh, that's the most airtime on a steel roller coaster in the U.S., probably in the world. And Beast, the longest wooden coaster in the world. It's got some really great rides. I just don't think it's that it deserves to be higher up yet. Anyway, I just want to see something better in their coaster selection come out. I mean, all the top 3 theme parks have these great selection of roller coasters and rides and stuff like that, and all it needs is a nice Giga Coaster or an RMC coaster, and it probably might make the top 3. Who knows? We'll see what happens in the upcoming years. It might go back to being in the top 3 better than this next park. But yeah, I just think it needs a little bit more rides and stuff like that, and it's just a little bit overrated. But overall, it's a nice park, and I really think it'll be a lot better once Banshee opens up this year. Number 3 is King's Dominion, the 400-acre theme park, one of the biggest parks in the world. This park is underrated. Yes, this park is really underrated. It deserves to be higher. It is a great park. It's not my home park. I do have a soft spot for it, but I do know when a park is better than another park, and this one just has a great coaster package. I mean, let's say it's got the first coaster that ever had an underwater tunnel, the fastest, and I bet you it is. I'm not sure. I need to check that out, but it could be the fastest inverted coaster in the world. It's got the oldest stand-up coaster, which is underrated. I know it is rough. I do agree with that, but there is some parts in it that are really neat, especially the drop. No other stand-up coaster besides Skyrider has a drop like that on a stand-up coaster, so it's pretty neat. But yeah, it could be if they just like refurbished the track to make it smooth, it would give it like 5 stars, saying yay. But it is a great park, and it's also got a nice Giga Coaster. It's got the only Mack Rides bobsled in the U.S. Yeah, so what's not to like about this park? It's got a nice wooden coaster hidden in the trees. But that coaster itself is a little bit overrated. I do think it's better than Hurler, but not as good as Rebel Yell. Rebel Yell's got a lot of airtime, and it does have more airtime than Grizzly, and that's my most favorite thing about a coaster is the airtime. Then the inversions, those are really cool. But what's not to like about this park? I mean, 60 rides, 14 coasters, and 400 acres. I think it deserves to be mentioned. Number 2, yep, you guessed it, Canada's Wonderland. This park was the worst park by Paramount, and all of a sudden, ever like 2 years later, it becomes the second best park in the Cedar Fair. It is, and that's a good thing. It's a really fantastic park, and it's a if I had to choose between this one and La Ronde, I would definitely go to this one. This is an amazing park, though. You got Leviathan, Behemoth, Canadian Mindbuster, a suspended coaster. That's the main reason. I really haven't been down one. I never got to go down the Big Bad Wolf, so I just would love to go on Vortex. It's really cool, and I feel bad for their flight deck because their flight deck is not a B&M invert. It's a Vekoma SLC, just like the Batman ride at Six Flags Mexico. But I do feel bad about that. But oh well. As long as people like it, it's alright. As long as it's not really rough. But it's really hard to find a Vekoma SLC that's not really rough. But overall, this is an amazing ride. Look at this, 68. Now that's the most we've had so far with 16 roller coasters and only in a 330 acre. So yeah, they've lost space for coasters. I mean, like Leviathan, they literally had to make it go over they may have to go over the entrance just because they didn't have enough space inside the park. So yeah. So the #1 park from Cedar Fair is, and everyone probably knows this already, but it's Cedar Point, the best theme park in the world, and an overrated park. No, don't get me wrong. I think it is the best park in the world. It's just still a little bit overrated, just because like, oh, it's the best coast and best theme park in the world. I do agree on that, but everyone's like, if you max Magic Mountain, which in Cedar Point, they do not compare, and I'm like, well, Magic Mountain does compare, but Cedar Point is still better. But anyway, it's just a really good park. I love Top Thrill Dragster and Millennium Forest, the first Giga Coaster in the world, the first no, not the first. That was, I think, Superman the Escape from Krypton. But it's got a nice suspended coaster, stand-up coaster, first coaster with 3 inversions. So what's not to like about this park? And I do like the spokes layout. I just feel bad for them because the problem is they can't expand more since they're on a peninsula. So I bet you Corkscrew or Cedar Creek Mine Ride might be leaving in the next 5 years if they want to make another coaster, because that's going to be a problem, is that they got to start destroying cool coasters to put up better coasters. As long as they keep the good coasters like Top Thrill Dragster, Millennium Force, and Magnum, I think they'll be fine. As long as they do just like Shockwave at King's Dominion, they just need to like refurbish the track on Mantis, and it'll be better than ever. And look at this, the most rides at any park, 72, 16 roller coasters, located up in Ohio, 364 acres, nice water rides, and what's really cool is it's even got a beach. Yes, they have a beach. They allow people to literally rent, because they have hotels there, and they literally just allow people to relax on the beach. They don't have to be at the theme park. They could just be at the beach, which is really cool. As long as the water's not really cold, you know what I mean. Anyway, so I hope you liked this countdown. Thanks for watching. Remember, if you like this video, like and subscribe for more, and keep coasting.